Welcome to my video. Hello. Hello.
Hello, Seekers! My name is Autumn Rain, and today we're reviewing The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T Harv Eker. This book is based off of one idea. If you copy how rich people think, you too can become rich. To copy how rich people think, T Harv Eker has created this idea of a money blueprint. A money blueprint is essentially how you're wired to think about money. And to help with that, T Harv Eker has given you a ton of wealth principles to go by. 44, I think. However, I'm not going to go over all of them in this video. I'm just going to go over the ones that are the most important. But if you want to read about all of them, you can do that in my blog. The link is in the description. Let's kick off this video with wealth principle number 1. To change the visible, you must first change the invisible. And to change the invisible, you must know that we live in 4 planes of existence, or as T Harv likes to call it, 4 quadrants. This is my favorite lesson from the book, so pay attention.
MESP. What does it stand for? Your mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical world. Now, all of these are pretty self-explanatory and equally important, and yet we tend to only focus on the physical world. But what's really interesting is that the physical world is merely a printout of the other 3.
I want you to literally imagine a printer. If you printed out a sheet and you found out it had a typo, could you just erase it? No! You would have to go back to the source, edit the invisible, and then reprint the physical. In other words, you need to change your mental, emotional, and spiritual world in order to change your physical world. Here's a quote from the book that I found really interesting. A lack of money is never ever the problem. A lack of money is simply a symptom of what's going on underneath. T Harv argues that if things aren't going well in your outer life, it's because things aren't going well in your inner life. And it's that simple. So if your outer world is just a reflection of your inner world, then having a well-adjusted money blueprint is more important than ever. But often, our money blueprints are based more on emotion than they are logic. So for example, if you think rich people are disgusting, there's a good chance you're not going to be rich. Your subconscious mind hears everything. Why would you want to be rich and then suddenly become disgusting? Let's do another example. If your parents hate rich people, then your money blueprint probably isn't set to be rich. Why? Because you love your parents and you want their approval. And your subconscious mind hears that and takes the liberty of editing your money blueprint without telling you. You think money will make you greedy or just in general a bad person, when in reality, money only makes you more of what you already are. P.S. That's a wealth principle. So, if you're really philanthropic at heart, when you have a lot of money, you're just gonna be more philanthropic. And if you're in general just a bad person at heart, money will just make you a worse person. Another false belief you might have is that money is not that important. Duh, money is important. You can't say that. Granted, there are things that are more important than money, but if you just think to yourself, oh, money is not that important, guess what your subconscious is gonna do the next time you try to go and earn more money? It's gonna say, fool, sit your back down. Money is not important. So how do you get rid of these false beliefs? T Harv has a way for you to redo your programming. The first step is awareness. Write down everything you've heard about money, wealth, rich people, etc. growing up. The second step is understanding. How have these things affected you and your financials? The third step is dissociation. Realize that these thoughts are just what you currently believe, and you can change what you believe. And finally, the fourth step is declaration. Place your hand over your heart and say some affirmations like, I do not believe that rich people are inherently disgusting. I choose to believe what is beneficial for my financial success and happiness. Or, T Harv's favorite affirmation, I have a millionaire mind. The next wealth principle is really a great one. If your motivation for acquiring money and or success comes from a non-supportive root such as anger, fear, or a need to prove yourself, your money will never bring you happiness. Why? Because as T Harv clearly states, you can't solve any of these personal issues with money. This brings us to one of my favorite quotes from the book. For people who are driven to prove they are good enough, no amount of money can ease the pain of that inner wound that makes everyone and everything in their life not enough. No amount of money, or anything else for that matter, will ever be enough for people who feel they are not good enough themselves. You need to know what money means to you, and it shouldn't be based in the negative. Here's a really funny story from the book that I love and that I think is really useful. There was a time when all T Harv did was fight with his wife about money. Whenever money came through his wife's hands, it was gone. If she had $200, she spent $200. If she had $1,000, she spent $1,000. One time she learned about the concept of leverage and she had $2,000, so she spent $10,000. T Harv said, no honey, we're the ones that are supposed to get the $10,000, not spend it. They kept on fighting and almost lost their marriage until they finally figured out the real problem. They placed entirely different values on money. To his wife, money meant immediate pleasure. And to him, money meant future freedom. I want to get this next part right, so I'm going to pretend to be T Harv and read directly from the book. As far as I was concerned, whenever my wife spent money, she was spending our future freedom. And as far as she was concerned, whenever I held her back from spending, I was taking away her pleasure in life. I've witnessed 3 miracles in my life. The birth of my daughter, the birth of my son, and when my wife and I finally stopped arguing about money. So, long story short, they both identified their money blueprints and made one specifically for their relationship. This is a cute story and it's also useful. It's going to be very rare when you run into somebody with the exact same money blueprint as you do, which is why so many couples fight about money. Now it's time to go on to the wealth files. This is how rich people think differently from poor middle class people. Now, I don't agree with all of these, but there is a little kernel of truth in each. Additionally, I'm not going to go over all 17, but if you want to, you can go to my blog and read about all of them. Now imagine your mind is a filing cabinet. Now how does a file get into a filing cabinet? You have to put it in there. Otherwise, you just won't have it. And so, when you have a financial decision, your brain goes to the file labeled money, and whatever's in there will inform your decision. Now here's another fun story from the book. There's a woman and she goes to a mall and she sees this green purse and she's like, should I buy this green purse? And here's what her brain comes back with. Oh my gosh, wait a second. You need a purse to match those green shoes that you bought last week. And it's on sale. Of course you should buy it. At no point did her brain say, oh my gosh, yes, it's a great purse and at a great deal too. But you're $3,000 in debt, so maybe you shouldn't. Why? Because she didn't have a mind file that says, don't buy things when you're in debt. Now I know I've just given 2 examples where women spent way more than they ought to, but I promise you, guys do this too. Everyone of every gender can have jacked up money files. This example is all to say that you need to put files inside your head that are good for your financial success. So, without further ado, wealth file number 1. Rich people believe I create my life. Poor people believe life happens to me. Now, life really might be happening to you. You truly could be a victim. However, it's not going to help you to think that way. Sometimes I think that I'm stupid, but then I stop myself because even if I am stupid, how am I going to fix that? So I say, you should just think you're smart. And that's what I do. There are some beliefs that are incredibly empowering, and there are some beliefs that are incredibly disempowering. So, as long as you're not hurting anybody, regardless of whether or not it's true, just believe what helps you the most. I'm a person who tends to think a lot, but since I started doing this a few years ago, it's really helped. One day I really found out that I get to believe whatever I want to about myself, and it doesn't even have to be right. And that's amazing. Now I know you're thinking, this girl is crazy, but truly, I'm giving you one of my secrets to happiness. You don't have to overanalyze everything. If it behooves you to think something about yourself, then think it. As long as you're not hurting anybody, believe what you believe. So don't say, life happens to me. Say, I happen to life. Wealth file number 2. Rich people play the money game to win. Poor people play the money game not to lose. I really hate the way T Harv words things sometimes. I'd like him to be a little bit more gentle so that his compassion for people's plights actually comes through in his writing. But regardless, I actually agree with this. In my opinion, whether you like it or not, if you're in America, you're in a capitalistic society, which means you are in this rat race. And I'm sorry, but congratulations! You have to compete, whether you like it or not. The good news is that anybody can win, and there is no first, second, or third place. There's seemingly an infinite number of spots for winners, as well as a seemingly infinite number of ways to win. However, you must compete. And if you're just playing this game not to lose, you're going to be sorely disappointed in life. I'm really sorry because I know life is hard, but you can't play just not to lose. You must play to win. And I know that aiming for okay seems nice, but you can't do that. And you don't have to be rich. Plenty of studies show that after a certain level of wealth, there's a point of diminishing returns where more money is not going to make you that much more happy. However, you do need to aim for your ideal life. Don't aim for the minimum. And just to drive this point home, we have another wealth principle. If you're aiming to be comfortable, chances are you'll never be rich. And if you're aiming to be rich, chances are you'll be mighty comfortable. And this reminds me of a saying my mom and dad used to tell me. Aim for the moon, and even if you miss, you'll reach the stars. Just don't aim for your minimum. Wealth file number 3. Rich people are committed to being rich, and poor people just want to be rich. Now, I know this sounds harsh, but immediately after saying this, T Harv explains, many people think they want to be rich just because it sounds good, but they're not truly committed, and in actuality, they don't know what they want. P.S. This is another wealth principle. The number one reason people don't get what they want is because they don't know what they want. You really need to look inside of yourself, because it's very possible that you don't actually want to be rich and you're not willing to do what it takes to be rich. I'm sure I don't have to tell you, but being rich generally takes effort. You need to be willing to sacrifice your time, energy, and capital with no guarantees of return. It's very possible that you don't actually want to be rich and you don't want to put in the effort that it takes. Maybe you just want happiness. However, whether it's wealth or another goal that you have, once you do commit, as T Harv says, the universe will bend over backwards to support you. We're skipping straight to wealth file number 6. Rich people admire other rich and successful people, while poor people resent them. T Harv gives a hilarious example from the book that really hits. He's sitting at home watching TV when suddenly Halle Berry appears on the screen. She just negotiated a $20 million contract. But she says that she doesn't really care about the money, she just did it to blaze a trail for other female actresses. Upon hearing that, T Harv said, "Yeah, right. Do you think I and everyone else watching is an idiot? You should take a hunk of that dough and give it to your public relations agent, because that's the best soundbite I've ever heard." Sounds resentful, but I've heard many people say things like this. And this kind of resentment doesn't serve anybody, and T Harv knew that. So once he realized how negative he was being, he immediately stood up and he said, "Cancel, cancel, thank you for sharing. You go, girl, you let him off too cheap. You should have gotten 30 million. You're incredible." Afterwards, he felt a lot better. Negativity like that only hurts you, your happiness, and your wealth. Whenever you feel yourself radiating negativity, try your best to immediately neutralize it. T Harv recommends the HUNA philosophy. Bless that which you want. And he even gives you a way to practice it. Look at beautiful homes, cars, families, or whatever else you desire and say, "I am so happy for that person. Bless them, bless that item, and bless the owner." Don't let the resentment take you. Wealth file number 7. Rich people associate with positive and or successful people, and poor people associate with negative and or unsuccessful people. I also hate the way T Harv words this one. However, there is some truth behind it. Have you ever heard that your wealth is the average of the 5 people you spend the most time around? You want to be one of the least successful people in your group, not the most successful, because you want to be around people who drag you upwards and make you achieve even greater and better things. Here comes another wealth principle. The secret to success is not to avoid, get rid of, or shrink away from your problems. The secret is to grow so that you're bigger than any problem that comes your way. And if you hang around positive and successful people, you'll have the social programming to do just that. Wealth file number 11. Rich people choose to get paid on results, and poor people choose to get paid on time. Now, I think choose is a very strong word. However, there's some truth to this as well. There's only so much you can earn if you're getting paid by the hour. However, if you get paid by results, then there's no ceiling to what you can have. Boom! That's another wealth principle. Never have a ceiling on your income. Now, the author recommends that everybody own their own business, whether it be full-time or part-time. And that's because most millionaires became that way by owning their own business. Wealth file number 12. Rich people think both, and poor people think either or. I actually really want to go over this wealth file because I think it might be the most important one there is. Humans learn from their environment, and all around the world, including America, for a lot of people, it's either or, and sometimes just none. You can have a successful career and a wonderful family. You can own a new business and also have fun and play. You can work and do what you love. You don't have to choose. Now, I know it literally doesn't make sense to be able to think both if you've come from a place of scarcity. It's illogical and frankly unreasonable to expect that. However, you really do need to get in this abundance mindset. Sometimes it seems like life has a predetermined path for you, and you're constantly choosing between 2 or more things that you want all the time. However, you need to choose both whenever you can. Never limit yourself, because unfortunately, if you don't aim for it, you probably aren't going to get it. So if you just aim for having a successful career, then your family and love life is most likely going to suffer. Instead of committing to being rich, whatever that means to you, commit to having the exact life you want. Recently, someone told me, you can't have your cake and eat it too. WTF? What is the point of cake if you're not going to eat it? Am I going to put it in a glass box and just look at it until it gets moldy? No. What's the point of having a fabulous job if you don't enjoy your work? It sounds ludicrous because it is. Why would you aim to have a ton of money and nobody to share it with? It doesn't make sense. Sometimes society and your past program you to think that you have to give up something that you love. It's a lie. You probably will have to sacrifice something in order to achieve your dreams, but it doesn't have to be anything that's truly important to you. You can have both. Wealth file number 13. Rich people focus on their net worth. Poor people just focus on their working income. Your net worth focuses on things like your income, your investments, your savings, and more. It's important to building your overall wealth. And if you just focus on how much you make per hour or per year, you're closing yourself off to the bigger picture. Additionally, many people think that investing is only for rich people, so they never learn about it and they never get to experience the benefits of investing, when in reality, investing is for everybody. Ooh! That brings us to another wealth principle. See every dollar as a seed that can be planted to earn $100 more, which could then be replanted to earn $1,000 more. Focusing on your net worth lets you be like Sue. Sue bought a $300,000 house at 23. She sold that house 7 years later for $600,000. And instead of buying another house, she simplified her lifestyle, moved in with her sister, and through safe investments is now living off the income that net worth gives her. If you've watched my previous videos, then you know about the $1,000 rule from You Can Retire Sooner Than You Think by Wes Mosh, which essentially says that for every $240,000 you have saved, you can make $1,000 in cash flow easy. Applying that rule, even with a conservative return, Sue is getting over $2,000 a month doing nothing. Her money is working for her, and now she works because she wants to. She chose both. Because Sue was focusing on her net worth, she bought a house that was appreciating in value, and she used that to increase her net worth in order to live off of it. Had she just been focusing on her working income, her financial outcome would have been completely different. This brings us to our actionable step of the day.
For today's actionable step, we're going to calculate your net worth. Now, your net worth is just your assets minus your liabilities. Your assets are what you own. That'll be cash in your savings or checking account, stocks, real estate, or anything that retains value, such as old art or old jewelry. Your liabilities, on the other hand, are what you owe. That includes short-term and long-term debt. So that's going to be things like those dreaded student loans, or your mortgage, or that car loan, or Lord forbid, credit card debt. Listen, I'm not going to make you calculate your net worth by hand. If you go to my blog, there's a link to an Excel spreadsheet that you can fill out. Just put in your numbers and it will automatically calculate your net worth for you. Record it every month. Where energy flows, results show. So put your energy towards your net worth. Now, if you have a negative net worth, you might not be as bad off as you think. I was talking with a very rich man once, and he said something that really resonated with me. He said he'd rather be rich with debt than poor with no debt. I really want everybody watching/listening to take note of this. I hear so many people worrying about debt and not nearly enough people worrying about investments. Unless your APR is above 6%, forget about the debt. Focus on your investments. Somebody who has money invested in a Roth IRA, a 401k, some stocks, some real estate, etc., but technically has a negative net worth is doing a lot better than somebody who has a zero net worth, but nothing that will grow to give them more money in the future. So, if you have a lot of debt, but you also have a lot of good investments, I'm going to be controversial and say that that's actually good. However, if you have a lot of debt and no investments, that's not great. That'll be something you need to fix ASAP. And if you feel that the debt is so overwhelming you're just stuck, then I recommend you listen to some Dave Ramsey videos.
If you don't like how your net worth is looking, then start saving. My goal for you is to save 50% of your after-tax income. However, that might not be feasible in your current position, so just start with 10%. Even if you just have, let's say, $1, I don't care. Invest 10 cents of that dollar. Put it in a separate bank account and think of that as your financial freedom account. As long as you commit to saving 10%, over time, the money in there will go up and you will just start putting more money in there just out of habit. Keep on increasing that percentage until you reach 50. Alrighty, that's it. Like I said, if you want to look at all the wealth principles and all of the wealth files, you can go to my blog. Now here are my general thoughts on the book. T Harv often generalizes poor people, and generally in a pretty negative manner. And it's kind of funny because he's telling us all throughout the book to stop generalizing rich people. And in my mind, I'm just thinking, why don't we stop generalizing any group of people? This book just did not have the level of compassion and tact that I highly value. However, I don't think that there's anything that's outright offensive in the book per se, and you shouldn't let yourself get so offended that you're prevented from getting all the benefits that this book could provide you. However, if you're still like, absolutely not, this book just doesn't sound like it would jive with me, that's okay. Just read my blog. If I'm being honest, you don't have to read this book. Reading my blog and watching the video should be enough for this one. However, you'll rarely hear me say, don't read. It'll obviously benefit you. However, you don't have to. And as always, if you like this content, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Bye. Why? Because you didn't have a mind file. It said, don't buy you're in debt. Okay. Okay, sorry. Okay, got it. Oh, gosh. Okay.
No.
Sorry. Okay, here we go. Why? Because it's
No.
no. Sorry. Okay, I got it. Okay. Okay. Why? Because as T Harv Eker clearly states, these don't. No. Okay. Recently. Sorry. Keep it together. Keep it together. Yes. Okay.
Oh wait, Autumn, all your books aren't over there. Yeah.
That was not good.
Weird little dance.